I want to show you something I figured out. As you can see, this is a stockinette stitch, which means we have knit stitches on this side, and if you turn it over, these are purl stitches. Now, if I'm working on a scarf, a blanket, something big, I'm going to turn my work and purl. But if you've ever done mittens, you know that you start with the cuff. They're almost always done in stockinette stitch, and you get to a certain point where you're going to do some increases, and then you have to knit the thumb, which is one row knit, one row purl, over only a few stitches, and you have to keep turning your work, and I wasn't really crazy about that. So I was wondering, is there a way that I could actually purl from the knit side or knit backwards? And there is, I figured it out. Now normally if we're knitting, I'm going to pick up the stitch on the left hand needle, and the new stitch will be on the right hand needle. But if you're doing this backwards, you're going to pick up the knit stitch from the right hand needle, and I'm inserting this needle through the back as if to purl. Then you're going to bring the wool between the needles and hold it toward the back, pick up that wool, drop the old stitch off, and there you have it. So if you're doing mittens, or if you're doing a design that's 3D and you have to purl, you can do this from the knit side and not have to turn your work at all. This is a little awkward when you first do it, but it's so much nicer than having to turn your work all the time. And the one thing you don't want to do, because I did this wrong the first time, is to put the wool that way. You see how I was coming between the needles and then holding the wool toward the back? If you do it this way, what happens is, and I'm going to show you, when you go to knit the next row, your stitch is on backwards, so then you have to flip your stitch around in order to get it on the needle the right way. So let me show that to you one more time. You put your needle through the back of the right hand stitch as if to purl. Wool comes between the needles, and then you just have your new stitch. And as you can see, they're all backwards knit, I guess you would call it. Now if you're an expert knitter, you probably already know how to do this, but this is sort of like a great thing that I was able to figure out, because if you're doing a small section, you don't have to constantly turn your work, and if you had several colors going here, you didn't want to turn and get the wool all tangled up. So if you're doing that and you just need to go back a few stitches and you don't want to turn the work, just give it a try. In the back, the wool comes through the middle, and well, I missed that one, but you just pull it through the middle, which I think I dropped a stitch there. Pull it through and drop it off, and there you go. Give it a try.